So our next speaker is Patty McCord. She's got over 20 years of experience in human resources throughout Silicon Valley high-tech companies. Among others, she's worked with Sun and Pure Atria, and currently is the Chief of Talent at the extraordinary Netflix. She'll be speaking about Netflix, a culture of innovation. Without further ado, Patty McCord.
Thank you. I'm not going to, I don't know how to talk to you like all these other guys are really cool at talking to you. You know, like they know a whole bunch of stuff. I have a bunch of stuff I still don't know. We're in the middle of inventing our culture. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of, as a storyteller, tell you the story of Netflix from how we started to how we got to today in terms of culture. Reed called me at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, "Are you sleeping?" And I said, "Yes, geek, I'm normal." He said, "I'm going to go run Netflix." Netflix had about 30 people. Reed had told me about the idea, like you put movies in the mail and mail them to people. And I said, And he said, "I'm going to go run Netflix and be CEO. He was chairman of the board. And I said, "Okay, that's a nice career move. Why are you telling me this in the middle of the night?" And he said, "I want you to come too." And I said, "No. Nope. Call somebody else who doesn't know what you're talking about. I've already done a startup with you." And oh, by the way, the DVD in the mail idea is just kind of weird, okay? Work with me on it. Why on God's earth would I do this, Reed? And he said, "Let's make the company we always dreamed of, right? What if we wrote down all the mistakes we made and we promised each other we wouldn't make them again? It would be a company that it would be a great place to be from. That if you had Netflix on your resume, it mattered." Now, remember, we had 30 people. We had due dates and late fees. The website barely worked. The whole service sucked. Okay? First thing we wrote down were the values. These are the 7 aspects of our culture, and I'm going to run through them quick. I'm not going to go through all these slides. You can read them online on our website under the jobs page. Our strategy's there, too. And what we did, the values thing, we wrote down. That was the first thing we wrote down, and we did that consciously at 30 people. And what I wanted to do was not write. So I'm a lousy HR person, you guys. I really am not good at any of this stuff. So I couldn't think of the esoteric values. What I did know was I wanted to write down this stuff. Who gets promoted? Who gets let go? What are the behaviors? So we wrote our values down as behaviors. And I'll say this a million times. This one in the upper left-hand corner trumps everything. Common sense and judgment trumps everything. That's what you want to look for in everybody that you hire. Not only are they smart, do they make good calls, they have good judgment. So we pull the IPO, we go into 2001, September 11th happens, anthrax happens, everything goes through the mail, right? I'm down at the San Jose Police Department's at my shipping center all the time. I'm like, see, like if the guy did it in a Netflix envelope, we know his address. It's a good thing, see? In October of 2001, I laid off a third of the company. We're 120 people, and we said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to rent DVDs, right? We're going to get them online better than anybody else on the planet. That's it. Tomorrow when you come to work, if it doesn't make a customer happy, if it doesn't save us money or move the business forward, don't. Any questions on the vision? Because it's all we had. It's all we could afford, right? We were broke. I laid myself off. I said, "Reed, we got to take an exec out." He goes, "Yeah, who are we going to take out?" I'm like, "Me." I wrote myself a severance letter and made him sign it. And so all you guys that talk about letting people go, I made him sign it. I handed it to him. And as he's signing his name, I start crying. I don't cry. Right? He's like, you're in, what the hell? You know, you wrote the letter, you're making me sign it, and you're weeping. And I'm like, well, what if it's successful and I'm not here? So he says, he amends the severance letter and says, "Work part-time, and if we can make payroll in January, you'll stay." And so what happened that Christmas was DVD players dropped to $99, and inside every DVD player box was a coupon that said, "Try Netflix for free." All those people were at home, out of work, watched movies, because it either cheers you up or makes you more depressed. And our business took off. I mean, took off. Okay, so I opened an office in LA. We're moving our office to Beverly Hills. Kind of cool, huh? It was about this big. And I go down in the reception. I sent the receptionist down there to help do some of the facility stuff. And I like to walk in the morning, especially around Beverly Hills, because it's pretty damn cool. So I show up at the office and I say, man, it's a really long way from Wilshire Boulevard, and I took the wrong turn, and, I got lost, but, it was, I saw all these cool things. And she goes, oh, yeah, why are you staying on Wilshire Boulevard? There's a hotel right around the corner. You just walk from there. And I'm like, well, what hotel? She goes, L'Hermitage. I'm like, just stay at the L'Hermitage? She goes, yeah. She goes, I got a corporate rate. I'm like, what was it? She's $6.49 a night. It's usually $8.50. And Patty, the room service is amazing. I'm like, just stay at L'Hermitage. Are you kidding me? Now, the beautiful thing was, I'd gotten a lot of pressure from the CFO to have a travel policy, right? And what I learned from this experience with her was, no, I now know that she will leave the company, right? But not because she violated the travel policy, but because she didn't treat it like her own company, right? It was at the time, really, literally, I was buying IKEA furniture and she's staying at L'Hermitage. That's like an entire desk. The one night. We used to do, people from South of Market would come over and go, at my .com startup, we all have Aeron chairs. And I'd be like, those suckers cost $800. You know how many DVDs we could buy for an Aeron chair? Everything was times 20, divided by 20, because that's what a DVD costs. This addresses that problem of scale, right? Which is like, if we get bigger, are we going to automatically become bureaucratic? Is it inevitable? All companies hit these walls. And you think that these are your choices. Well, we either got to stay small or we got to avoid rules, and then we'll put process in, and that'll be better. But we decided to try an even different option, the fourth option, instead of having more rules, just hire better people who have better judgment, so you can have fewer rules. And if you haven't gotten the theme already, that's because I'm not really an HR person, and I stopped being one when I came to Netflix. I became an entrepreneur and inventor, just like everybody else who worked there. So I got to go and say, well, how come we have to have rules at this point? What is it about it? What if I just had smarter people? And if you keep having smarter people and the business gets more complex, this has turned out to be unbelievably true for us.
I deal with a lot of HR people.
Yeah.
Very, very, very few of them talk or think like you do. When you go to conferences, I'm sure you've been invited, HR Tech, IRM, SHRM.
I only go once, then they don't ever ask me again.
Seriously? Like they just...
Patty, how does HR get a seat at the table? Seat at the table. You earn it.
That's it.
You matter, right? How do you get executive buy-in? What? Executives don't buy in. Executives run companies. So how you hire great HR people is you hire great business people who care about your business and don't give a shit about HR.
Love it.
If somebody isn't performing technically, then you made a bad hire. Then the performance issue is the hiring manager, not the employee. Okay, so that's thing one. Thing two is, it's almost always about scale, change in technology, or shift in business. Almost always. Occasionally, it's the culture mismatch. I'm terminating an engineer who I hired from eBay. He's a big Russian guy. We're in the exit interview, and he's like, I am so angry, Patty. I'm so angry. I'm like, great, I get the angry Russian, got the bear, right? And I'm in a conference room, and I'm like, well, who are you mad at? And he goes, I am mad at me. I'm like, well, what did we do, Vladimir? And he says, well, you kept giving me feedback that I wasn't a very good communicator. And he's like, I'm a great communicator. I tell jokes, I have beers with the guys, I get along, they all love me, they laugh at my jokes. I'm like, uh-huh. And he goes, but, you know, at eBay, I had like this group of underlings who would come in Monday morning and they would give me my schedule and they would compile code every night and refresh all my reports and, you know, put everything together. And then on Friday, they'd work on all the weekend to give me my next schedule. And all I had to do was walk in, sit down, and write code. I'm like, oh, yeah. And he goes, and here, you expect me to tell everybody around me what I'm doing. I'm supposed to send out emails and tell my fellow workers what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, problem, huh? Well, if you had it to do over again, what would you do? And he said, I wouldn't come. I wouldn't come. He's like, you know, I kind of like being an important guy and having little people help me. And I said, what you going to do? And he goes, don't go back. You know, it was a wonderful conversation. Early on, I heard an IBM guy, he's like, you people are never going to grow up. It's completely insane around here. You're never going to act like a real company. I'm like, we want to say that again just a little calmly. You're never going to grow up. We're never going to act like a real company. We're never going to be IBM. And I said, you know, we made a mistake, both of us. So, I mean, I call myself the queen of the good goodbye. I mean, lots and lots of ex-employees I hear from all the time. And they're really good friends. And, you know, I want everybody, all the amazing people that we hire to be really successful. It's just not always going to be with us forever. I don't feel bad about that. I feel great about that. Anything else? Cocktail time. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. That was excellent.